Valentine's Day 2025 is finished, and we've had some really great meal deals from the various supermarkets. Why am I featuring them here? Because speaking to a number of friends and relatives, a lot of those hadn't realized that the deals were such good value and had missed out. So I thought by describing them here and talking about the wines, perhaps next year, everyone can have as many meal deals as we had this year. It pays to get there early to ensure that the choices that you want are actually in stock or haven't been taken. And the supermarket generally start at different times. I think Marks and Spencer's started on Monday. Morrison's wasn't available till the Tuesday and so on. So it's worth checking the supermarket's websites. The Morrison side we chose was the Charente carrots, which had a knob of butter which had some honey in, which was great. And the wine was particularly fine. It was a Montepulciano d'Abruzzo, which is one of the best examples I've had. We enjoyed this meal very much. Superb value. Interesting and successful starter and side here. And the Prosecco is a DOCG, which retails normally about £14. So again, extremely good value and most enjoyable. All dishes here were most enjoyable, and it was good to see pork medallions as a main choice. The wine was a Rioja Rosé, which is an old favourite and is a good food Rioja. There's good availability of all the courses at Tesco's. Nice to see the potato rosti, something different, and the beef shin and smoked bacon pie was particularly nice. On the wine front, a couple of things took my interest. They had a particularly good DOCG Prosecco, which is very good value, which I had drunk before. But I was intrigued by the Sanso Rosé, which I expected to be very good. Looking at the reviews on the Tesco website, it didn't seem to be very popular, but I thought I'd have this because I'm sure a South African Sanso should be pretty decent. The Marks and Spencer's meal deal was perhaps not as astounding value as some of the others, but it was good value. And if you chose the king prawn and lobster thermidor gratin for a starter, I think that made it very good value indeed. So summing up the 2025 Valentine supermarket meal deals, first point I make is that generally speaking, these meals are a bit low in vegetables. I think it's rather like when you spend a number of nights away at eating in hotels or restaurants. Generally, I think you find that there's less vegetables served than you would normally have at home. So what we tend to do when we're having these meals is supplement them with, I don't know, some frozen peas or some sort of roasted peppers, onions, courgettes, spinach, whatever, just to sort of get a few more vegetables there. Otherwise, it sort of tends to feel a bit processed. With regard to the wines, the two rosés were quite a contrast. In fact, I'll show them up here on the screen here. The uh, the Rioja Rosado I've drunk before, and that's got quite a good colour. It's got quite a bit of weight to it, so it's a good food rosé wine, which goes well with sort of most things. The South African Sanso, which I got from Tesco's, that had very poor actually reviews from on the Tesco site. But generally, I find if a wine's a little bit subtle or whatever, or it's perhaps not quite what people are expecting, you tend to get bad reviews. This one I enjoyed very much indeed. I thought it had a sort of quite an attractive pale colour. It had a distinct touch, a little lime there, and perhaps some cooked strawberry type feel to it. So it's quite a subtle wine. And in fact, what I show here is we actually had drank these wines after having the Valentine meals, and this is a little starter that we had here of Maman tomatoes, some avocado, some Taras Malata, and you can see the colour difference between the wines here. And it was an interesting contrast. So both these rosés, I was pretty happy with. The star of the show, though, without a doubt, was the Marks and Spencer's with Fosco, which has had some quite good reviews. And I think the Marks and Spencer's Found range, you can get some really, really exciting stuff there, which are not over expensive. This wine was £8.50, and I think it was almost like a cross between a decent Cru Beaujolais and something like a Austrian Zweigelt, which sometimes has a little bit of a sort of spicier feel to it, a bit slightly more funky. It was like a combination between those two, and I thought it was really super wine for £8.50. The other thing which I've noticed just recently is there's always been a bit of a pain with Marks and Spencers that whereas the other supermarkets you can go online and browse their wine offerings. Marks and Spencers didn't do that until very recently, and now they've got a wine finder there. And so you can go and find a wine, and then you can key in where you want to buy this, your local Marks and Spencers, and that indicates that they stock it and also what the price is, because sometimes there's a price variation. So that's a nice development because the current Marks and Spencers offering is pretty good actually across the range. I've had quite a few pretty decent bottles there at good prices. That's the end of 2025 Valentine deals, which has become a bit of a Wyndham tradition to feature these. And I look forward very much to 2026 and go through this again. Here's a few random pictures of some of the dishes that we had. Not too many, because Judith quite rightly gets irritated if I start taking pictures of food on the table. The other thing you probably notice is that I don't tend to drink the supermarket selected wines with the meals. I just drink other bottles, and so the supermarket wines I drank later. Well, that's all from us for this episode. See you next time. Keep swirling, stay curious. Cheers.